Welcome back to Cityline. With me, I have a familiar face. Somebody who has been on our show. We kind of call him our little in-house expert. And I'm talking about Dr. William James. He is the executive director of the Community Counseling Institute, and he's here to talk about the impact of social media on drug and alcohol use among our precious teens. Welcome back, Dr. James.
Thank you so much. It's good to be here.
Well, it's good to have you here. First off, for folks who don't know about you and your coalition, tell us about yourself.
Well, I am the executive director of the Community Counseling Institute in Tacoma, Washington, and we are a substance use and mental health prevention and treatment program for teens and families and others. We also have a coalition of 12 sectors around the city that join us in our efforts to prevent substance use among youth.
Beautifully said. I just, as a mother who has a almost 30-year-old, I say thank you for what you do. And I don't think you need to be a parent to understand the severity of drug and alcohol use among teens, let alone the pressure of social media. So let's talk about, how did you come up with the topic of social media and drug use among teens for this virtual town hall that we're going to talk about?
That's an excellent question. And we kind of brainstormed among our coalition and our staff, and we found out that there's a great deal of concern about social media and its impact on teens, because over the last 10 years or so, there's been an explosion, as you know, of Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and TikTok and all these sites that are basically providing information, but also advertisements for different substances that might be used by teens. So we thought, and by the way, the statistics show us that over 90% of teens are on social media in some form. I think that's probably a conservative figure, but that means 9 out of 10 teenagers are accessing Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook. This latest one, TikTok, has become very popular. And so with this access and with the exchange of information and how savvy these companies are, they are advertising and they are providing information where people may get the notion that they could use substances. For example, they're using celebrities sometimes to show their drug use and how it helps them sing better, dance better, perform better. And our teens are very impressionable, especially in middle school and high school, to these kinds of factors. And with texting and videos and everything that's going on with social media these days, we thought it was a very timely topic.
I think it's exceptional. I think it's a topic that's timeless because the information highway is here to stay. I have moments, Dr. James, when I'm looking at Instagram and it dawns on me that I have scrolled through 10, 15, 20 advertisements that are actually tailored to what I want to see because of the analytics. Now, you can imagine if I'm seeing advertisements for cookware and recipes and travel and art museums, what other young teens perhaps are seeing also based upon what they've been looking at. So what trends are we looking at in terms of drug use on social media? What should parents look out for?
They should look out for the incredible increase in vaping. Now, the good news is that cigarette smoking has gone down among teens, but the bad news is that vaping has increased dramatically among teenagers. And a lot of the companies like Juul, Juul, they're a company that produces vape products, vape devices. They've advertised heavily on social media. Now, some of these companies like Juul have been called out So they've been able to kind of pull down or step back on some of their advertising. But some of these companies are advertising and they are showing that substance use is kind of, it's being glamorized. Vaping's glamorized and other substance use is glamorized on social media for impressionable young minds.
Dr. James, do you often find in your research and also talking with your clients that things like e-cigarettes and vaping can be considered a gateway to something else?
We find that those products can be a starter, a gateway for other drugs. It doesn't always necessarily mean that people are going to go to what are called harder drugs. But if you start out smoking cigarettes, marijuana, vaping, it's very easy to see that these other products are appealing. And someone then might move on to cocaine or heroin or meth and other substances, especially if they see that some celebrities are using these substances as well.
Well, absolutely. When we think about for our parents, what are some of the factors that can potentially make a youth to get influenced by by an influencer on social media? I think, boy, you put your favorite band in there, or you're watching a video or something, and that's all you want to be. Whatever they do, you're going to do.
Yes, and I think one of the things about middle school students in particular is that they're very impressionable. They're making decisions. They're trying to decide which way to go with what friends. And so these companies, when they marketed the vape products, they were aiming the products at middle school students. For example, watermelon flavored, mint, mango, strawberry, all these flavors of products to get a person started was aimed at middle school students. And in fact, some of these products actually have a portion or a part of them is nicotine. So you're not only getting the flavor, but you're getting some nicotine. And then you could very easily start vaping marijuana. In fact, I had a student at the middle school I work at who ended up vaping methamphetamine, which I didn't really think about at the time. But once she shared that with me, I was thinking, wow, you can vape just about any product that you want to in your pipe, in your device. So these young minds are very, very impressionable.
So you bring up a really good point when you talk about your client in a middle school that was vaping, extremely dangerous substance. What can schools and educators do in terms of playing a role in prevention?
That's a good question. And one of the things that I teach is called life skills. So we start out with self-image and we go to decision making, but then we also talk about in a full lesson, there's just one lesson that focuses solely on alcohol. There's a lesson that focuses on vaping products like marijuana and flavors. There's a lesson that looks at cigarettes and smoking. So I think, and we're not trying to judge people, we're trying to give out information so that when a teen is faced with a choice, when a friend is handing them something or asking them to smoke or snort or sniff something, they have a pretty good idea of what they should be doing. And so our message is lots and lots of information at the middle school level. As a matter of fact, my life skills sessions, there's 14 of them, and they're all part of 3 different health classes. So the school and the teachers realize that this is a health issue, that these are young minds, these are people that are still in their developmental stage where they're growing up physically, intellectually, socially, emotionally. They need more information. And I think you and I talked about this before. The adolescent brain is still developing even into the early 20s. So that's another factor that leads to people needing more information.
In addition to that, we have parents that have brains that are on overload right now. And of course, we want to add the famous COVID fog to that as well. So, based upon just all of our kind of state of mind right now, is your town hall going to put resources for parents and youth for prevention?
Yes, we will have hotline numbers. We will have information from various providers available for parents to access. And we'll also have uh, a lot of good information about different social media that parents should be aware of. Even YouTube, it's very popular, but it's also a social media site. And I think that parents should be aware of how much time their young people are spending on social media. So we'll have lots of resources for parents. And I think they are um, in the position to help prevent a lot of this from happening.
I think you're right. Of course, as we always say, knowledge is power. So,
And let me just add too that friendships are so important among young people. So the more we can spread the word about these issues, and the more teens will talk to each other and share information with each other, the more we can sort of deputize young people to tackle these problems.
absolutely. And I think you said it best in terms of that the right information gets out. Because when you are in middle school, there is so much myth and legend and gossip in your daily conversation.
Oh, yes.
So you need to know exactly what is the truth. So, Dr. James, who all is invited to attend the virtual town hall that we have been showing below?
That's a great question. We're inviting anyone and everyone who's interested in the topic of prevention, even intervention and treatment for substance use among teens. So it's open to the general public. We're inviting, in fact, our panel, we have at least one youth speaker on our panel. We try and do that every time, and one adult. So we'll have at least a panel of two, maybe three people. They'll share their experiences and hopefully spread the word to other parents and other communities. So everyone's invited. We're going to have a special time for questions and discussions at the end of the panel. And all people have to do is sign up for it and show up, and they'll get information.
Dr. James, I cannot thank you enough for the connection that you make between your heart and mind, and then you share it with us. There is nothing more valuable than our youth and our elderly in society. And I think we have an obligation as we look at during COVID, alcohol sales went through the roof. Liquor stores did not suffer in terms of like a mom and pop grocery did. So this is so timely for us to be able to spread this message to our youth and also for parents to hear the message and to implement some changes that will be one of the best gifts they can give their children. Thank you so much for being here today.
Amanda, I really appreciate the opportunity to spread the word about social media, and I'm sure we'll be talking more about it. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you. We have much more to come on Cityline. Don't go away. We'll be